Welcome, heathens and witches, to the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast. Yeah, we're back at it again. Just the schedule's not scheduled. Whatever. It's fine.
We're working on it. We're not giving up on you.
We're working on it.
If you don't give up on us.
Yeah.
And even if you give up on us, we're still not giving up on you.
That's right.
Our 8 listeners.
That sounds too culty. We're not doing that. Anywho, I'm John Norgrove. This is Julie Norgrove. And this is our witchy podcast. Today we are talking about Samhain 102. So if you've missed our first Samhain episode, that was episode 24, you can check that out on all the podcasting networks and go ahead with that.
Yeah, so before we get into 102, Samhain 101, as with all of our 101 series, are kind of like the intro to this particular Sabbath, telling you all of the things that are about it, how to celebrate, what the origin is, a variety of different sort of facts and fun things about it. But Samhain 102 is where we go into a deep dive. So, Samhain is the third and final harvest festival, the first one being Lunasa and the second one being Mabon, and this takes place on October 31st, or if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, usually April 30th. So it takes place on Halloween, so it's spoopy. And the reason that it takes place on Halloween, well, really is because these holidays were created in low-key in like the 70s, at least the modern version of these holidays, not like historically, and Halloween is about halfway between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice, and also already has like strong connotations for witchery,
like to the connection to the like historical side of the like thinning of the veil and like witchy stuff and like magical practice things with regard to like the modern interpretations of it. But then again, also like inversely directly connected is the fact that like Halloween as a celebration is literal. I mean, it's an American celebration. So if you're listening to this outside of America, you like, sorry.
Or maybe not sorry. Maybe you're lucky, depending on how you look at that right now.
I guess. I don't know. Halloween's awesome. So we have that going for us pretty much only. So Halloween is basically exists as a placeholder for a bunch of sort of witchy celebration-y things. Yeah. It's sort of like Coca-Cola designed Santa Claus. It's one of those like just like weird fun marketing things that have like turned into their own ass thing. Yeah, so.
Well, and Samhain is the most popular and widely known pagan holiday thanks to a ton of mentions in movies and books and TV. And I mean, most of those are like, oh my God, witches are bad, burn the witch.
Sure. Yeah.
There's that.
Samhain's number 1, probably Yule number 2. I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe Midsummer's coming in number 3. I mean, people are starting to get into know what Midsummer is like a little bit.
Or like Beltane, maybe.
Maybe Beltane. I don't know. Probably Midsummer over Beltane, but I don't know.
It's definitely not Imbolc. Imbolc is like the meek youngest sibling.
Nobody knows who Imbolc is.
Or maybe the middle sibling. That's how that works, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm the oldest and the best. Whatever.
I am the oldest, but also a middle sibling.
And that explains
because I have like a half sister that I didn't grow up with. They were like adopted, were adopted, and I didn't grow up with siblings, so technically I am both.
Yeah.
By the powers combined. Okay.
Yeah, why not both? Why not both?
Yeah.
So Halloween is like kind of like already that placeholder, so it would make sense that when they like sort of reinvented Samhain, that they sort of like attached it to the place that already had that shit existing in it.
Yeah.
So that does make sense why Samhain and Halloween always like overlap, why there's that correlation there. Also, and I'm going to bring this up every time anybody ever mentions this, it should be pronounced Samhain. Deal with it.
Oof. I feel a bunch of like pendulums being clutched.
A bunch of people who don't know jokes. It's just spelt Samhain, and so it's just Samhain in my head.
Samhain.
It's Samhain.
No, it's definitely Samhain. The MH is like a
W.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Well,
like cow.
Samhain.
Yeah.
Like cow.
Yeah. Samhain.
Do you spell cow COMH?
No,
because guess how you don't spell cow? COMH. Next subject. Yeah.
Joke's on you. That's how we're spelling it from here on out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I love those fucking comms. Why not? Why not? Yeah, I don't know. Samhain's always Samhain in my mind, and so, like, whatever. And occasionally you hear people call it Samhain, and I'm just like, yeah, that's right. There's just shit that, like, you read before you ever heard it spoke aloud too many times.
Yeah.
And so it just exists wrongly in your head, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Normalize saying shit not necessarily perfectly accurately, right? Like, that shit just happens.
Well, there's... Not,
I know everybody's
like
real sassed up about saying words
subject,
wrong,
but there's also like leaning too far into it. Like you don't need to lean super far.
Oh
into
my
it.
God, yeah.
You
don't need to hard
definitely
roll every R, my guys.
You definitely kind of run this risk of being like a little too over the top with that, and then alienating people from that. So moving on from this odd and controversial.
I guess it's controversial. I think that my answer is do peace and let people say things the way that they're going to say them.
Fair.
But what do I know?
So Samhain is a liminal festival and is the threshold sort of like between light and dark, summer and winter.
Not necessarily lime, but still in the citrus family, smaller than grapefruits. Yeah.
Limes are delicious. It's kind of like Beltane, where honoring the Fae is an important part of celebrating Samhain as well as Beltane. And we have a Beltane 101 and a Beltane 102. So if you want to hear more about that, go ahead and check those out. I don't have the episode numbers, but honestly, it shouldn't be hard to find. Yeah. So the time of Samhain season, if you will, is a time to celebrate the cycle of life and death and rebirth. People celebrate by having mute dinners or dumb suppers. They mean the same thing. They're just different words. By dressing up in costumes and trick-or-treating, carving jack-o'-lanterns or other produce, having bonfires, and doing divination, among other, more modern Americanized festivities associated with Halloween, like partying.
Yeah. I mean, literally all the things you described are like technically parties.
I mean, it is very, very partying. Yeah.
When you go trick-or-treating, you're partying.
Yeah. So we often hear that the veil is thin this time of year. But what is the veil?
Sure.
And to talk about the veil first, we're going to talk about what a liminal festival is. So the word liminal comes from the Latin word limen, meaning a threshold.
Weird oblong yellow fruit.
But the term liminal was really coined by folklorist Arnold van Gennep in 1909. So it's a very new term for this sort of really old idea that we have. Mm-hmm. And he said, such rituals marking, helping, or celebrating individual or collective passages through the cycle of life or nature exist in every culture and share a specific threefold sequential structure. And that's absolutely true, because we are looking at this sort of transitional period of which Samhain is a thing. So Samhain in particular, we have the first in the threefold path is summer, and then the transition is Samhain, which is fall, and then the end of that path is winter, if you look at it that way. If you are Twilight Zone fans, there is a variant intro on a couple of episodes that says that liminal is, and the Twilight Zone is also liminal. It says that the middle ground between light and shadow, science and superstition. And I really love the way that they describe that liminal thing, and I think that like totally
I think that we should start calling more liminal spaces Twilight Zones, because that's a fucking great series. So I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like it.
And the space in between transitioning from the old to the new, is really what liminality is. It's sometimes uncomfortable, and it can sometimes be unsettling to be in these spaces. So ways where liminality exists would be moving homes, like you have your stuff in both places. Puberty, you're not quite a child, not quite an adult. You're somewhere in the middle. A revolution could be considered a liminal type of space. Carnivals are commonly considered to be a liminal space. Nope. And I see that you're shaking your head.
Because a carnival is a transition between thinking that going to the carnival was a good idea and then going home from the carnival and realizing that you spent $400 to ride 2 garbage rides. Is that what we're talking about right now? I mean, I love carnivals. I'm not hating on carnivals. That's not what this is. But just like, how the hell is a carnival liminal? Is it believing that you shouldn't be fearing unnecessarily clowns and then going to a carnival and realizing that no, 100% we should fear clowns? And so the liminal nature of carnivals is the transitory space your mind is in where you're like, oh, hey, look at that clown, comma, holy shit, look at that clown. Is that what it is? Is that the liminal space?
Actually, you're not far off. I read, there was this thing that I read, and it had a whole bunch of examples of liminal spaces, and one of the things it listed was carnivals, and I was like, carnivals?
Yeah, no, that's a fully insane
the fuck?
number.
And then
on
I
this
thought
list.
about it, and I was like, oh no, carnivals. Because think about when you see carnivals like in movies or in media. For the most part, when you're seeing a carnival, there's something bad gonna happen, right? Like carnivals in TVs and in movies and in media are like they seem fun and like a cool idea at the outside at the beginning, and then our characters are at the carnival, and then it slowly turns sinister. It's kind of one of the reasons why people don't like clowns. Clowns, in a way, I guess you could.
I mean, people don't like clowns
liminal.
For the obviously good reason that clowns are vaguely nightmares. Yeah. Not clown people, not like actual people who play clowns. I mean, maybe you're a nightmare, but like whatever. That's not my problem. I just mean like the very idea and facsimile of clownness. All clownery is horrifying. Well, intrinsically. And you want to know how we know it's horrifying? It's because the clowns that we're seeing now are less horrifying looking. Pause this, get to your work or whatever if you're listening to this in your car, and just Google old-timey clowns. Come back to this podcast, tell me I'm fucking wrong. Dude,
oh man, old-timey costumes are horrifying.
Clowns nowadays, you're like, that's super scary. But that's just scary because the movie It was so, like, profound that it ruined modern clown looks. But you go back to old-timey clowns and you're just like, oh, I'm sorry. What are we trying to do? Scare kids into line? What the fuck is going on with this? If my parents brought this thing into my house for my birthday as a child, I would just be like, oh yeah, sure.
For me it was killer clowns from outer space. It was not It. I was okay with Tim Curry eating my soul. Yeah. I was not okay with killer
Tim Curry.
alien.
That's a different thing entirely.
I would let Tim Curry do anything.
Yeah, that's fair. Tim Curry's the fucking literal best.
No, but carnivals are kind of like a weird liminal space, and not carnivals where you go
it's
to
because
like
a carnival is a
just
dream-like
ride the
place
rides
in real life.
Exactly.
Yeah. I understand why carnivals are like vaguely liminal, but the idea that carnivals are intrinsically liminal is like weird. It's just like the idea that like you said earlier, all carnivals in media are like, you're like, some shit's gonna go down. But like, that's not always the case. I forget what police procedural from the early 2000s. Give me an example. There's a police
question of the day, dear listeners. What is an example of a carnival in media, like TVs, movies, books, whatever, that isn't vaguely or outrightly creepy?
Yeah.
Hit me with it.
There's some police procedural from the early 2000s
because even carnivals in Scooby-Doo are creepy.
Well, everything in Scooby-Doo is creepy. You can't trust anything except for the parts of the walls that are slightly brighter in color.
Ooh, especially not adults. You cannot trust
know
adults.
For sure because that's about ready to do something. Animation style. No, like I forget what police procedural it is, but there's one from the early 2000s where like anytime the police had to like go out there and chit-chat, like to discuss the case or whatever, they were always walking on a pier with a carnival happening.
That's weird.
It's very weird, but it was nothing bad happened there. It was just like a local place. Honestly, I think it's because they were filming in like a local area, and the local area was like, "What's up, Hyde Park Carnival pier thing?" And they're just like, "Yeah, let's do that." But I don't even remember which one it was. Too. I very remember like constantly seeing the same 2 or 3 cops like walking onto a pier where there's like the merry-go-round and like the people doing stuff and the like cotton candy and all that shit. And they're just like, so we found that body the other day. You know, do whatever cops do. Whatever. I've seen a lot of police procedurals. They all kind of fucking blur together. So unless you have like a shtick, it kind of, I forget it. Yeah.
So moving down the list. of liminal things. Another thing that is classified as liminal are groups of people on the edge of society who kind of live in both places. So think of it like this way, like you're like a 1980s hardcore punk rocker and you've got like the mohawk and you've got the piercings and you got all the stuff. And during the day you work in like an accounting office, right? So you are a liminal person. You are transitioning between the like bright white cubicle land and the like punk rock lifestyle. So in a way that is
all
a liminal
millennials
transition.
is the word that you're looking for. The description you're looking for is all millennials, because we have to go into the office and pretend that the things these people are saying make even the remotest amount of sense and are definitely programming.
Yeah.
And then you have to go home and like
either.
be a normal human with coping mechanisms as opposed to like them.
Well, and like entire swaths of people could be considered liminal in this respect as well, particularly people who have immigrated or whose parents immigrated to another country.
Oh, sure, totally. Anybody that doesn't fit into whatever the like localized social
but also has the ability
is,
to fit
and
into
is having
both.
to fit into like both sides of the same coin. Yeah, sure, totally. I mean, you could also say the same thing about like country folk who live out in the sticks.
Yeah.
But then like got to go into town to like do going into town stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Twilight is another time, or is another example of liminal. That's the time between night and day.
Whole zone about it, yeah.
No, not the vampires. Train stations, hallways, beaches, fey circles. Those are all examples of liminal things. And if you are a Redditor, as I'm sure you know we are, if you're one of our 8 listeners, there is a fantastic subreddit that is r/liminal space or liminal spaces. I'm not sure exactly which off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Where people just submit pictures of liminal spaces, and it's pretty fantastic.
I would also add onto this list those rotating doors.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh! Yeah!
It's a transition between outside and inside, and also every time you go through one, you're a little terrified that you're going to be trapped or cut into pieces or some other
like
nonsense.
Get caught on it or something.
The real scary ones are where it's not like when it's like 9 leaves. You just gotta like get into your own leaf, like that's fine, right?
And then you're just like plod, plod.
But when it's the 2 leaves that are swinging, so you gotta get like a group of people in there. Oh yeah,
and you have to kind of like jump out.
I'm not gangster. Yeah. I'm not gangster on those ones at all.
Every single time I have to go through one of those,
especially
I have
the ones
to,
that just
work myself
rotate.
up to it.
You know, it's one thing if it's one that you like go through, whatever. But have you ever been to the ones that just are constantly rotating?
Oh no, I have
slowly.
Not.
Oh yeah,
I've only been to the ones that power your. That
those are fucking
yourself.
horrifying.
That is horrifying.
Yeah, those rotating doors are absolutely horrifying. Guess what? Hey, just use a regular door. There you go. Problem solving with Jonathan. Bam. Use a regular door. Yeah. If I'm ever in a hotel that's got one of them dumb rotating doors in the front, I just use the emergency door to the side.
I'll do the rotating door like once or twice, but certainly not every time. I don't want to do that. It's a lot of work. That's a lot of...
And if you miss time, you're judged, because a lot of those rotating doors, because they have to be able to fold open for like, obviously for an emergency or whatever. Yeah. And I can't tell you the number of times I've been near or in or about ready to get in, or God help me, about ready to get off one of those doors, and somebody's like a little too hot, coming in a little too fast, and they touch the door and it shuts down the rotation and it pops the door open because they're designed to like all swing open. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, come on, man. What are you doing?
That is horrifying.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining the doors just like pop on you.
Well, yeah, they just, you know, it's there's just like an indent. You know, so it just wants to hold into its like cog position.
Yeah.
But they're designed to like rotate out of the way, so you can basically like rotate them all out of the way and use it as an open thoroughfare in an emergency. I mean, they all have this. It's obviously a good feature, but it means that occasionally somebody like comes in a little too hot. And like pops like, and of course you got to be going like the right direction because they all full I think the same direction. But like you like get it a little bit. I've been in one of them rotating things.
It sounds to me like you've been in way more of these rotating doors.
I've been in a ton of these rotating doors. Yeah. I've been in like
whenever I see them, it's like a curiosity. I'm like, oh, look at this rotating door.
Oh my God, no, yeah. I've been in a ton of these. They're at like a lot of hotels. They're at a lot of convention centers. They're at a lot of like airport style shit or like business buildings. Love that shit. So like what do you call it? Like fancy shops. I've been in a bunch of them in like the boutiques. UK, like boutiques and shit. Got them like old timey buildings. I mean, they're hot, but like I'm not gangster on 'em.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, because this is a liminal time of year between summer and winter, it is believed that the boundary between this world and the spirit world or the Fae worlds is thin this time of year, effectively making Samhain and Beltane seasons liminal. And the reason why we say season here instead of just like specifically on that day is because really it's not like, oh my gosh, for one night the veil is lifted and you can see. That's not how that works.
Yeah.
It's like a season. So if you can't do stuff on Halloween, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I know that we say that in each one of these episodes, but I feel like I still have to hammer it home because a lot of people are just very stressed out about the idea of trying to do a ritual or whatever their spell work is on that day. And it's totally unnecessary. Yeah. We usually do ours a few days earlier, a few days later, very rarely on the day.
Yeah, we never got time for that.
Yeah, we don't have time for that.
Yeah, we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And like think of it sort of like tides, you know, so like when you're fishing and you need like a really, really, really especially high tide, you want to go out at a king's tide, but like plus or minus a little bit on that king's tide is going to be fine, right? And it's sort of that thing where it's like, well, if you're trying to stack stuff, like you want to do something on Samhain, but also at sunset or also at midnight, whether it's the liminality between days or the liminality between the day-night cycle. But like if you're not gonna get if Friday is the Samhain day for you and like Saturday you're gonna be home to be able to do some stuff at sunset and Friday you're gonna be at work or whatever, then like do it on Saturday, man. Like that's totally
or if you want to like hit the new moon or the full moon or whatever it is, like there's no reason that you need
that's
to
why
like,
I mean, hey man, that's why the
day.
full moon and the new moon got like 3 days. That's why like most of these celebrations got like 3 celebrations. That's why like most of these individual celebrations take like 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never going to be exactly perfect. Time as an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
don't get caught in the Instagram trap.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if your thing is like it has to be on a specific thing, like you do you, man. We're not here to like judge or hate or whatever.
But time is a construct.
But like time is a construct. Yeah, time is an illusion. And you know, whatever works best for you works best for you. If what works best for you is like taking the day off so you can do it like proper on a specific day at a specific time or whatever, then like that's what you need to do, man. Like that's your structure and your system, and that's fine. Like the frameworks of each of our individual realities are intrinsically different. They have to be, lestwise we're the same people. But like, I mean, you know, if it doesn't work out, you don't need to like punish yourself or like feel bad that you've essentially like missed a kind of made up exactingness about a thing that's like kind of intrinsically like open.
Yeah.
Right? And loose. And especially if you like take that stuff into consideration when you're planning it, instead of worrying about like hitting this exact mark, you can worry about like the details and the structure and all that other stuff. So that way, when you do hit the mark, it hits more accurately. Yeah. Right? You want to shoot an arrow, a bow further. You can obviously like get a heavier bow and stretch the bow harder, but you can also just tilt up a little bit and let the wind carry it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, you know, it's one of those things that we talk about often. We almost never do shit on the like exact day that it's supposed to be, because like inevitably some stuff comes up. I mean, like sometimes it's literally dinner just took like 20 minutes longer to cook than we expected.
And then we're like, not tonight.
And then we're just like, nah, never mind.
Yeah.
Or we like put on a movie just like, we're just going to watch this movie during dinner, whatever. We'll stop it when it's time for us to do a thing. And then like an hour into this movie, we're just like screaming at the TV. And we're just like, this is more important. I have emotions. So like that shit happens, you know?
Yeah. So anyway, it's believed that the boundary between this world and the other worlds or underworld are thin this time of year and also during Beltane. So what that means is that it is easier to communicate with the dead, with spirits, with deities, with the Fae. It's also believed that the dead visit their old homes looking for hospitality. This is sort of true of any type of liminal festival in really any place in the world. So this is not a thing that is very specific towards like modern witchcraft and pagan things. This is a very old idea, this liminality side of it.
Sure, yeah.
So my favorite topic, always, the Fae. So, to appease the Fae for Samhain, some cultures leave food and drink offerings outside because they don't want to invite the Fae inside. That's sort of a personal choice. We talk a lot about the Fae in several episodes. In particular, one is working with the Fae. We talk a lot about that. So we invite the Fae into our home. We don't have issues with them, and that's fine for us. But if that is not something that you want to do, that is okay. However, what is not okay is you telling people in all caps that they cannot talk to the Fae. They cannot interact with the Fae.
Don't gatekeep.
Don't gatekeep.
Yeah, let's not gatekeep. Let's all and let everybody practice the way that they want to practice. It's okay, guys. We're all individuals.
Yeah.
That's all.
So historically, particularly in the UK, in regions where you would have more of like a Celtic sort of spin on this, people stayed near their homes or avoided going out entirely after dark. And if they did, they would wear clothes. They'd wear their clothes inside out, or they carried iron, salt, or a jack-o'-lantern, probably actually a turnip, to try and either trick or avoid the Fae entirely, because it was thought that if you went out after dark, the Fae would see you, they would follow you home, mischief would ensue. And in particular in Ireland, people would carry a parshell, which is a small cross made of twigs and straw, similar to a brigad's cross, which is basically just like an equal-eyed, four-sided cross. And sometimes they would hang one in the house, often over the threshold, to help protect from, heebie-jeebies. On the Isle of Man, people would leave their leftovers outside along with fresh water as offerings to the Fae. And in Iona, which is in Scotland, fishermen and families would go to the beach and wade in waist deep, and then they would pour a cup of ale into the water and ask for blessings from the Shoni, who was a sea sort of deity and almost like a Fae spirit.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so they were effectively pouring one out for the homies.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's very Scottish. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it is very Scottish. Now, the differences between the celebrations for the Fae and the dead are actually very small, and you can kind of do it either way for the Fae and the dead, or ancestors, spirits, however you want to look at that particular side of things. So families would hold a dumb supper or a mute supper, mute dinner. Again, all those words are the same thing, by setting up a place and a plate for dead loved ones and ancestors. And they would basically just like put a plate of food out. They would serve it just like they would for the guests. And in some areas, this was practiced where you did not say anything the whole dinner. And in some areas, that was not practiced. So again, this is another one of those don't gatekeep things.
Yeah. For some like dumb suppers or whatever, it's very like, it's ceremonial and you want to, you gotta be quiet and all this kind of stuff. But there are also a lot of them where it was sort of like,
party time excellent.
Yeah, like you included the ancestors who were at the table, like in the conversation. You would give them updates on the the family or like projects you're working on or whatever. This isn't like a asking for help sort of thing. It's just like hanging out with, people who've passed on.
Yeah. Exactly. Like how in movies you see people sitting at like their loved ones' graves talking about what's going on. Yeah, very similar to that. Yeah. And in other Celtic regions, dressing in costumes and using hobby horses, which is basically just like a horse on a horse head on a stick. Similar to Mari Lwyd, where that was used to ward off like spirits of the dead and to make sure they didn't follow you home. The idea was that you didn't want a rando to follow you home. Sure. You only wanted the spirits that belong in your home. They would already know how to get there. So don't talk to strange spirits on the road.
Yeah, don't talk to strangers. That's obvious. Right? Yeah, we all learned that as kids or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And in parts of Ireland and Scotland, people carved pumpkins and lit them with a candle to scare the dead. almost everybody knows about this one. It was originally turnips, but turnips were introduced to this area of the world in the 17th century. So beforehand, people weren't carving turnips. They may not have been carving anything, actually, but they may have been carving other variety of vegetables that they would have had there. So, when you're looking at carving something, have at it. We've carved anything from pumpkins to pineapples to turnips. Yep. Let me tell you, the most horrifying one is definitely a turnip.
I mean, yeah, well, turnips shrivel as they age. So you get little tiny shriveled up turnip heads. You could carve like a radish. You could carve a carrot.
Like an apple. You could carve a daikon.
You could turn an apple into a bong. You could carve a daikon.
Wait a minute. Yeah. One of these things is not like the other.
Isn't that the joke? Like turning an apple into a bong or whatever? Yeah, of course you can carve an apple. You can pretty much carve anything, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever you got, right?
If you do choose to carve something, though, please try and reuse whatever the innards are. Try to compost or maybe use some of that for baking or like drying the seeds. Sure, it creates a lot of food waste every year. So, do what you can to do that. And also keep in mind that might bring unwanted animals to your home to feast upon.
To visit your trash cans and knock them over and dig around inside of them for sweet gourd guts. But...
yeah.
Also, carve pumpkins responsibly, guys.
Yeah.
Let's be safe about it. It's one of those. I think it's up there with the 4th of July, like people getting hurt, getting screwy with pumpkins.
Yeah. Don't carve pumpkins.
I've definitely jumped a couple of drill bits into my hand. Carving pumpkins power tool style.
Yeah.
So be safe.
Yeah.
Use safe tools. I mean, I'm still going to use like a router or a Dremel.
He's still going to be unsafe. Don't worry. Yeah. If something happens to him, he's going to walk to the hospital.
That's true. Those are the rules.
So some people also do shrines to their ancestors and to loved ones who have passed. All Souls Day is adjacent to this holiday. It's sort of like the Christianization of parts of Samhain. It is a day to remember and honor the faithful who have passed away. And many people visit the graves of their relatives, tidy them up, bring offerings like favorite foods or flowers, and pray for them. Other people light candles for the dead and bake special cakes, sing songs. All of these things you can see really sort of fit into this whole Samhain vibe. So it's thought that a lot of these traditions for All Souls Day and also All Saints Day are sort of off of some of these more pagan type of ideas. And part of the reason for that is because around the year 800, which is drinking game moment, the Christianization of Europe was in full force around the year 800. And at that time, some churches in Ireland, Germany, and the UK were celebrating All Saints Day on November 1st and celebrating All Souls Day on the 31st. Of course, these days sometimes moved because of the nature of calendars and stuff, but all of those areas are where sort of a lot of these customs for Samhain are coming from. And to see that these started popping up in the same areas really kind of gives you like a bit of a tip off there. And for us locally, because we live in California and we live in a place where there's a rather large Hispanic population, Dia de los Muertos is an important holiday in the area that we live in as well. It is also celebrated around Samhain, usually during the first few days of November, when it is believed that the spirits of the dead visit their old homes. Sound familiar? I'm not saying they got it from the Celts, but sound familiar? So
maybe the Celts got it from them, honestly. I mean,
maybe.
You never know.
Family and friends create altars for their deceased loved ones during this time. They will visit graves, decorate their homes, and share special foods like sugar skulls and pan de muerto. By the way, fantastic if you can find a local bakery that's doing these foods. Oh, yeah. Highly recommend. And this usually is the sort of the difference between Dia de los Muertos and All Souls and All Saints Day is that Dia de los Muertos is usually a more bright and joyous celebration. You're looking at bright colors and festivities, celebrating rather than mourning. Although part of celebration is mourning
paintings
too.
And like dope outfits. You get these like dope outfits with like skeletons and shit.
Intricately, put together.
Yeah. It's a very, very cool celebration. Very cool celebration. Amazing food. If you ever have a chance to go to like a Dia de los Muertos like parade or celebration or something like that. It's very cool. So those are awesome.
And if you are interested in more information about Dia de los Muertos, please seek out any variety of just like really awesome creators that are part of that
like the community of
like
the
part of that community who are part of that practice. Like we have been to these celebrations. It is something that is like large locally, in the place that we live in, but we are by no means experts on this celebration. So please take what we say about this with a grain of salt.
No, I am not.
If you want more information, get it from somebody who is more inclined to give you more accurate cultural
more
information
integrated
about
into
it.
the culture. Yeah, definitely.
So that is what liminality is and what the veil is thin means, and kind of how we interact with that thin veil, we say. So next up is some ways to celebrate. Which we've compiled. So there's a variety of ways that you can celebrate for Samhain. You can create an ancestral altar. You can leave an offering of candy for the Fae. They particularly love candy. You could visit a cemetery, whether that be one that has somebody special to you or a local cemetery. There's also lots of historical cemeteries that offer tours this time of year too.
That's correct. We're going to circle back around to candy for the Fae. If you're going to leave candy outside, there's a good likelihood you're going to attract animals. Make sure that candy is safe or, in a place where animals aren't going to get to it. Because we're not trying to get like 6 sick trash pandas all up in town. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, be cautious about that. Like a good heads up is that most animals can't eat chocolate. Yeah. Dog.
Absolutely.
Maybe leave candy corn. Nobody seems to want to eat that except for me. So unless I live near your house, it's probably not going to disappear. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. If you leave candy corn outside, you're going to come out and you're going to find Jonathan. He's just going to be like,
yeah. Maybe face painted like a trash panda. Maybe. Whatever.
Only
we'll
if you
see if I
nicely.
can find a carnival. Yeah. That would be fucking horrifying, wouldn't it? Yes. Yeah. So, but like anytime you're leaving food like out, be safe about it or whatever, because like there's food that can like make animals sick and shit like that, and we're not trying to do that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well as like, I mean, on the other side of that, maybe the pumpkin head that you have the bowl you have your candy in for trick or treaters, maybe you left that outside, secret offering. So, but just like, whatever. Think about hearing a scratching on your door in the morning and then looking at the little people and finding like a herd of trash pandas just like trying to rummage through a candy bowl, and just remember that forever. Because that is a thing that will and can happen. Yeah. Let me tell you, I've seen some of those like, oh, hey, my ring light captured like trash pandas just like using my tire swing. And then you're like, oh, that's going to be cute. You click on the photo and there's like 40 of those little demons out there. And you're like, whoa, 3 cute trash pandas, 40. That's an attack. Yeah. That's an attack on your property.
I am looking forward to ring videos and photos of raccoons and chaos Halloween, and chaos such Halloween like that. Yeah.
We don't really have those guys out here, but our nature is significantly more awful.
Yeah, we only have like forest raccoons, and we're right next to like a big touristy area in our town, so the raccoons kind of don't really care about our trash.
They stay over there. We mostly got the squirrels and the birds.
Yeah, mostly those. Yeah. So you can also learn about another culture's spiritual practices. So if you're particularly interested in, like we mentioned before, Dia de los Muertos, or you want to learn more about the cultures that you ancestrally connect with, or like from Wales or, wherever, go ahead and learn about those. Yeah. However, definitely make it a point to learn from several different sources to understand that there are differences in the way that different people from the same place celebrate.
There's obviously hyper regionality in any of these celebrations. I mean, like, I'll say like social media, like TikTok and Instagram and those things are good for like learning that kind of stuff, but also like it's real easy to sort of like get caught in a rabbit hole of misinformation. Yeah. Right. So, definitely like check out other people and people who have like, who seem to be bringing like a kind of like open and educational vibe as opposed to like a closed gated community thing. Like learning is always beneficial, literally always. So,
Yeah. You can also refresh your own sacred space for the season. We typically do that around the time of each Sabbath, where we clean off our altar entirely, and we just kind of spend a whole evening cleaning and then putting back up our altar with whatever, seasonal touches.
Whatever the change is.
Whatever the change is, yeah. You can invite family and friends over for a meal, plan a ritual, collect fallen leaves, because we're still at the height of fall leaf season.
Leafer madness.
Leafer madness, yeah. You can make a dumb supper.
Yeah.
That can be, of course, a part of inviting family and friends over for a meal. And if you do invite them over, I highly recommend that you sort of have a communal spot that everybody can use for that dumb supper.
In my mind, not inviting family and friends over is just like you sitting across from and talking candlelight dinner style to an empty space. Right? Just like, oh yeah, everything's going great.
What's
it's
that
fine.
like black and white movie where the lady marries the ghost in her house? It's like that.
Oh yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
Which is way more fun than going like, oh, that sounds like you've been stood up. No, just having dinner with my ghost.
Having a ghost dinner.
He's the Phantom of the Opera, don't you know? You can also forest bathe in a spot particularly known for its fall colors, or one that you just really enjoy. Learn about your own ancestry and your family history, because this is a festival where you honor your ancestors. You can also decorate with seasonal things, whether that's your sacred space or your altar or your whole house, like apples and leaves and pumpkins and decorative gourds.
Everybody loves decorative gourds.
Yeah, it is that season. You can also prepare your home and or your yard for the winter, kind of like spring cleaning. You can clean stuff out. You can, I don't know, rake your gutters or whatever.
You should prepare your house for winter. Now is a good time for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Part of these harvest festivals, it was preparing for the winter. It was harvesting the food for the winter and doing all of these things in preparation for the winter. And we've found that since we live, where we live at the edge of the wilderness in a forest, it has become a seasonal thing where we have started to sort of understand and operate with the seasons. And that helps us to really connect with them more. Like this year we were talking about how we had a cold summer, and we were noticing that the leaves were starting to turn a little brown earlier. Our tortoise decided he was going to hibernate sooner, and we knew that we were going to have an earlier than expected fall. And last year we had a later than expected fall. So it really helps you to kind of understand and be a bit more one with nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's cool to like stand out, like somewhere in your house and go, holding like a mug of something and be like, I smell the winter coming, or something like that. Very, very badass moment.
Something dramatic like that.
Yeah.
Be dramatic.
Yeah, unnecessarily. And just for the fun of it. You can also eat foods that remind you of deceased loved ones, whether that's part of like a fancy supper thing or whether that's something else, and whether or not you're leaving them on your altar. You can make things that your loved ones also loved. Meditating and particularly on the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, since that is the main theme of this particular holiday. You can visit a pumpkin patch or a corn maze.
Yep, those are always super fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go visit a pumpkin patch, go pick a pumpkin, and go visit a corn maze, and get lost in a maze.
Yeah. That's what fun.
Yeah. I don't know that you can really get lost in them.
I've never actually been to a corn maze, so I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I've never actually been to a corn
maze. There's one just in Petaluma.
I know. It's never been.
Huge.
I've never been.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I've been there like a bajillion times.
Yeah, I've never been.
Yeah, okay.
Anytime that I've tried to go, like nobody has gone with me, and I didn't want to go by myself.
But nope, that's horrifying. So fair.
Yeah. Or like I've been working, or like something else has been happening.
I mean, it's only open or whatever for like a period of time. It's like a fair or something. Yeah. So, but no, it's fun. It's fun. And you get to like walk around and be like, that pumpkin's not good enough. That pumpkin's not good enough. I want this pumpkin. This is the pumpkin I'm going to take.
Yeah, I'm really into this.
They generally also have like a big pile of hay that you can just like climb on, go to the top of the hay pyramid, and
that sounds fun. And like
proclaim yourself Aztec war chief or whatever the heck children do. Had pyramids. I don't know. Right, you're just up there, just like Kukulkan, like whatever. I don't how kids act. I'm weird. I've always been weird. There's not iota of normal up in here. Yeah, no, corn mazes are dope.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Corn mazes are dope.
It sounds fun.
Yeah.
You can also do divination. That's a huge part of Samhain in particular, especially if you're doing divination about your future or about like who you're gonna marry.
Yeah. The coming season. I mean, listen, every season has some connection to figuring out who you're gonna marry.
Every single
is the
one.
thing. Every holiday is just
Every
like, here's a holiday
single one.
about new Ford Tauruses, but also maybe a little bit about maybe you getting married or something, and you're just like, wow, I can hear the ants. I can hear my aunts in here being like, you getting married or something like that? What's going on with this?
Yeah.
But that's what that is right there. That's just...
I don't want to say a simple one, but an absurd one that you can do is peel an apple so that the peel is completely intact.
Yeah, one whole peel.
One whole peel.
Yeah.
And then throw it behind you.
Yes.
And then look behind you and then see what letter that makes. And then that is the initial of the first name of the person who you will marry.
Yeah, I know apple peel.
Yeah.
Apple peel magic.
That's a super common Samhain one. You can also bake seasonal treats.
Apple, so yeah.
It is pumpkin season and also pumpkin spice season. So get at them seasonal treats.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you can go for a hike.
Yeah. Yeah, get out in nature, do nature stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Celebrate the changing of the seasons. Bring a jacket. It's getting cold out there.
Yeah, and if you live in Northern California, also wear a tank top and shorts, and you can just like...
Yeah, it's not that cold out there. I mean, it's cold in the evening, but like during the day, it's not that
and
cold
in the
out
mornings,
there.
yeah. Bring a jacket for the morning, bring a t-shirt for the
day.
For the midday,
Yeah.
shorts for the afternoon.
I mean, if you're wearing a jacket, it's implied that you're wearing a shirt. I don't know who's like... free chest in a jacket, like a bloody monster.
Ooh, that would be so sweaty.
Right? Could you imagine free chest in like
Gross.
one of those gross windbreakers? I mean, I haven't had a windbreaker since I was like a child.
That would
because
be
they're awful.
So
but
gross.
like, yeah,
like those
awful.
puffy jackets where they're kind of
no,
like
no, not those. I mean, yes, those.
That's
plastic
what I
puffy
was
ones are
thinking
bad. No,
of.
I'm thinking of like a windbreaker.
See,
you know how you got like just like a thin plastic bag shaped like a coat to wear on your body. They're like, it breaks the wind, and you're like, do you mean traps the sweat? Why am I wearing this? This is a fucking nightmare. Who made this thing? Right?
Why did we decide to do this?
Maybe it's because I only had like shitty windbreakers.
I mean,
right?
I had also.
It's the same thing with those big
windbreakers.
yellow raincoats. Like, yeah, I get that it protects me a lot from the rain, but it also keeps the moisture inside. And I'm not going for that. I am 100% disconnected from the rainy season, and I think I have one rainproof jacket. And the rest of the time, I just wear a sweater and get wet.
And it is the heaviest rainproof jacket.
Oh yeah, my rainproof jacket is just like, oh, what are you gonna go into the Arctic Circle?
Yeah,
got you.
It is not.
So I overcrank that.
It is not a rainproof jacket that is appropriate for where we live, because where we live, when it rains, it's like 50 degrees.
Yeah, it's not even like that bad.
cold.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not
like
that bad.
it's chilly.
Oh, I also technically have that like wool World War II greatcoat that I bought, that like Swiss greatcoat or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's awesome, but I mean, it's designed for like the snow, and we don't have that here. So
yeah,
again, I don't really wear that very often.
It's
most of the time most of the time I'm just okay with being wet.
Yeah.
Just hunch your shoulders and get wet, or whatever Bill Burr says. I think that's the one who has that bit. Yeah.
So how we celebrate Samhain?
Yeah, I mean, we do kind of vaguely all of that.
We do kind of like all of that, except for the corn maze thing, which I just said I've never been to.
Yeah, we'll do it one day.
Yeah, we'll do it one day. Maybe
I
not
don't even
this
know
year.
if the one in Petaluma is open this year.
Oh, it's probably still open.
No. I mean, like, I don't know if it was open at all this year. I mean, this is only the first year, like, post-Rona.
It was.
Oh, it was?
It was, yeah.
I think I've only driven past it like once or twice.
Oh,
so.
yeah, I drove past it when my friend and I went to tea.
Oh, yeah,
and
duh.
it
So
was,
you got
like,
to see it, yeah.
Packed.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a new one in Novato. Yeah. So, we do all of that stuff. We typically do a Sabbath ritual at our house, invite our friends over. This is sort of the first
feast.
Yeah, prepare a feast. We usually do a ritual to like release any bad things in your life,
yep.
Allow people to like talk at the ritual, or kind of whatever they want to do.
Prepare our altar space, whether it's to completely change it now for Samhain and then change it again later for Yule, or like post Samhain to like get started on the prep work for Yule, because we don't really have like a space in the house large enough for like a whole Christmas tree, like a whole regular size Christmas tree.
Oh my God, no.
So
we would
generally
literally
get, like,
have to hang it from the ceiling.
Yeah, so we generally get like small Christmas trees. And
just,
by
like, small we mean like
stuff.
miniature.
Oh yeah, like, you know, like
a couple of like a
like
foot
the little
tall.
like the little planter ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the little planter kind. So we do like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like a desk tree, because we just don't have the room for that. Yeah. But you know what we did find the room for this year is a plastic skeleton. Not one of the giant ones from Home Depot, although that's on our list. Like a regular skeleton. We were at Home Depot and saw this skeleton, and he had little light up red eyes, and we were like, that skeleton. We don't know where we're going to put it. But we are going to come home with the skeleton. So we bought the skeleton, and we've just been moving him around in the house like an elf on the shelf. And, you know, sometimes he's sitting on the bed, sometimes he's on the couch, sometimes he's on the chair. Right now, for those of you that are not watching us on YouTube, he is sitting behind me up on the corner on top of the couch. And his name is Pierre. I don't know why his name is Pierre. He just is Pierre, because he fell over one day and I said, oh no, not Pierre. And then it stuck. So, you know, that is apparently a new way that we are celebrating Samhain, is by having a skeleton that just sort of like moves around our house.
Yeah, it's like skeleton in the shadows. You know,
skeleton in the shadows, elf on the shelf. We don't really have a good name for, you know.
Well, we're not gonna do elf on a shelf though. We're gonna do Krampus on the shelf. Remember, we're gonna get a Krampus.
Oh, that yeah. Yeah, we're not gonna do elf on a shelf. We're gonna do Krampus on the shelf. So that's what we do for Samhain. We usually do like a ritual ourselves without people being around. Now that things are sort of post Rona, we're excited to have some people over to celebrate.
Start bringing the rituals back. Yeah, definitely. We first of all, I cannot recommend enough. This is a nearly human-sized. I mean, this is like a small human, and I guess technically the skeleton's about as tall as you are, but it's like a small human-sized skeleton. I would recommend, if you're into Samhain and this sort of stuff, get you a human-sized skeleton and then just live with him now, roommate style. It's actually not horrifying, even though it's like literally everywhere, and sometimes I'm lazy and I just hang clothes on it.
Yeah, he's got an ascot right now.
Yeah, right now he has an ascot.
Headband.
Yeah, he had a headband. We took that off.
Yeah.
Sometimes I put a hat on him, or
sometimes
like a jacket or something.
Yeah.
Funny story. It is nowhere close to the most horrifying thing in the house. That would be a fall leaf wreath on the door to the bathroom. So our bathroom is through like a very tiny hallway. There's like a very, very tiny hallway. It barely counts as a hallway. And then bathroom door. You would assume that that's fine, because the living room is generally the lit room. And it does not matter how dark or light the bathroom is or the living room is. Every time you open that door, because it's like one of those like long wreath things.
It's not really a wreath, it's a garland.
Yeah, it's like a garland. Like
I got it so
over.
I could make a flower crown, and I have not had time to make a leaf
and
crown.
So when you open the door to the bathroom, when you open it in, it like swings at you a little bit, and like it doesn't move a lot, right? It's not like coming at you,
but
like
it like
a monster.
makes a sound.
But it makes a scraping sound and moves towards you from the doorway. And every fucking time I open that door, I just have like a tiny heart attack. Let me tell you what, the stress is up here sometimes, man. And it's crazy because
we're giving ourselves our own jump scares.
Yeah, it's crazy because they'll be like the very idea that it'll be like the middle of the night and the house is for the most part dark except for like whatever like we have on the TV, right? And it's like I have some sort of like nightmare horror thing on the TV, right? Like monsters or like a slasher movie or something like that on the TV, and I go to the bathroom and I open the bathroom door and the wreath scares the shit out of me as I'm looking through the hallway into the living room where there's like a skeleton and like a ghost on the wall and there's like a slasher on the thing. None of that shit's scary, but like this wreath just give me a little scratch scare every time. That wreath gets me every single time. But moving the skeleton around, it's been a fun one. I mean, I imagine it's probably horrifying to everybody else, but we're pro the skeleton. And then we definitely want to get one of those like big whatever it is, 70-foot tall skeletons. It's not 70 feet. One of those big, tall yard skeletons. And like more of that kind of stuff, but we just like haven't had the opportunity to. Those big, tall Home Depot skeletons are like very, very, very expensive. So
yeah, it's an investment.
So we're not ready for that. And once we put it up, it's going to be up forever. I'm never taking it down. There's also probably no chance in hell that we're going to put Pierre away.
Oh yeah, he's just gonna.
Worst case scenario, we might just put him up in the loft, but that might also be way worse.
Horrifying.
Yeah. If there's just like a skeleton sitting up in the loft, but I mean, whatever, man. Right now he sits on the bed most of the day, so most of the time, just like out of the corner of your eye, there's a skeleton sitting over there.
Yeah.
So that's gangster.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, that's definitely one way that we celebrate.
Yeah, that's one way that we celebrate.
Yeah, and really the last way that we celebrate is, for us, this is spooky season, so we watch horror movies for the entire month of October.
Yep.
So
we watch horror movies all the time regardless. We're big horror movie people.
We
only watch horror during the month of October. I mean, with the exception of like the like week to week, the like 1 or 2 week to week shows that we watch. But like it's only horror movies, it's only horror like TV shows. We actually just finished a horror show today, and we're probably like 20 or 30 movies into the month.
Oh, there's so many movies.
There's so many movies into
and we
the
are
month.
going to do a totally separate video after October is over, with a list of all of our things. So if you are so inclined, check that out.
It'll be on our YouTube channel.
On our YouTube channel. We're not going to release that as a podcast, but you can always listen to it in your, on your phone as one would listen to a podcast.
We'll do that. We'll do that on the YouTube channel. And if you're only listening to this podcast like on the podcast networks and it has not been made clear, our YouTube channel is Nerd Jive. I honestly don't know if I say anything about that or not. I don't remember stuff. But the YouTube channel is Nerd Jive. So one, if you want to like watch our stupid faces, you can do that there. But also, if you want to watch our recap of spooky season horror movies, then that's where that will be. I would love to tell you that that's going to be short, but that is going to be long. So long. We have seen so many movies, and we have so many feelings about some of these movies are going to be like, that's good, watch it, or that's not good, don't watch it, save yourself the time. And some of these movies are going to be, it's going to be hard to keep me in control.
Or me.
Or her, honest, because we've got some opinions, especially the last few that we've watched are are bold of choice and poor of writing. To speak gently about them.
Yeah, we've got some hot takes on some things. Definitely tune in for that. And now we will talk about,
before we move into the ritual, how do you celebrate? Call to action. Something
call
business,
to action, that's right.
Something.
Gosh, we got to do that.
You do this as a profession.
I do this as a profession.
I am a professional lazy person, so...
That is incorrect.
No, I have 1,000,001 things I'm doing. I'm too busy. It's the worst. Legitimately.
Yeah.
So how do you celebrate Samhain? What's your, like, normal thing? Did you have to make any changes during the like, multi-year apocalypses that we were going with?
Have you been to a corn maze?
Have you been to a corn maze? And if so, do you think that your area has the best corn maze? I mean, I would definitely say that ours isn't the best corn maze, but it's a pretty okay corn maze. I would really love to go out to one of them corn states.
Oh, and
like one of them corn counties, and do like one of them huge corn mazes where they got like the corn maze and they got the county fair and they got the like corn queen riding on the back of the tractor and all that. They do the like whole shenan. I love that stuff. I'm not really big into like summertime fairs. Primarily because it's hot and in the middle of summer, and why would I go outside? Whoa. But I really love like fall festival fairs. Those are really fun. So like what do you do? But like if you don't do very much or whatever, or like you participate in your community's thing, like what does your community do for that? For like us, obviously we've got the corn maze, and we've got like local festivals and like celebratory things and
cemetery tours,
local cemetery tours and all kind of stuff like that. So we have like a ton of stuff in our area. I mean, Dia de los Muertos shit.
Yeah.
Like they do like a bunch of stuff in like a bunch of different community things. So like we have a ton of stuff going on here, but Sonoma County's big, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But like what do you do? How do you celebrate it? Why is Samhain awesome for you? Because it just is. Probably skeletons for me. I love skeletons. And all skeleton-based accoutrement.
Pierre has been a wonderful addition to our
bones
family.
Trying to escape your body and whatnot. Yeah. Free the bones.
Okay, so Samhain ritual.
All right.
So this one is basically doing like a mute supper.
Yeah.
So in addition to any other magical items or any like representations of your ancestors or your spiritual tradition, you will need a meal that you have prepared or that you have acquired. You don't have to cook it necessarily. That has enough for an extra portion.
Uber eats that dumb supper, dog.
I mean,
save you the dishes. Use paper plates.
I got Chinese food last week.
I'm mad here for that. Yeah.
I got Chinese food last week, and I definitely used some of that as an offering. I was like, yes.
Yeah, why not? Man?
Absolutely.
Why not?
You don't have to, you don't have to make it yourself. Yeah. So a meal with enough for an extra portion of whatever size you feel is appropriate, and an extra plate setting. So get your meal with enough for an extra portion. So prepare that is plated out. Don't just like eat out of the takeout container unless that's your particular jam, in which case go for it.
Yeah.
And
secret time, takeout containers have lids. You just flip that lid over, cut that off.
There you
That's
go.
your plate for
extra
for
plate.
the dumb supper.
Now you don't
extra
need to
plate.
wash
Now you don't need
anything.
no dishes. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I do that for a ton of stuff. I use
yeah.
the lids for those things all the time. So
also, it goes easier in the trash if the lid is removed and put underneath.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Totally. A thing that I almost always do. So when you serve the meal, set out an extra plate of food, and when you are ready, cast your circle, clear your mind, and say, as the wheel of the year turns, Samhain is upon us, and I honor the cycle of life and death. The veil is thin, and we are here tonight to honor those who do not walk this realm. So light the earth candle and say, spirits of earth, I invite you to join me tonight. And then you'll continue to go through all of the other candles for air, fire, and water, and the candle for your ancestors, and invite them to join you tonight. And once you have reached the last one, invite any other deities or other spirits that you want to have present join you, or that you want to have present join you.
If you're doing this and you like work with a fae, you can invite the fae to join you. Yeah. So like in the Norse tradition, you have sort of like like Outgarths and like nature spirits and stuff that you may, the Landvatir, and such like that you may invite to join you. So again, like who you want to join. If you just want Aunt Linda to join you, get like a picture of her favorite scarf or whatever, and like put that shit on the chair, and then just be like, hey, light a candle, Aunt Linda, I invite you to join me. Yeah. It doesn't have to be wide open. It can be as specific or as wide open as you want it to be, and as it makes you comfortable for your particular dumb supper. Yeah.
Yeah. And once you've invited everybody, hold up your glass to make a toast and say, the veil is thin, and tonight our worlds merge into one. Let us eat, drink, and be merry. And now that you've invited everybody and you've done your toast, go ahead and enjoy your meal. Yeah. Be sure to talk to your honored guests, just like you would if they were sitting there.
Think about if you invited a guest over to your house and then, just didn't talk to them at all and sat there and just like watch TV or whatever. That's not a mad gangster way to do that. And if this is new information to you, I recommend trying more social stuff.
Yeah. In a way, think of this as...
invite them and talk to them.
Yeah, in a way, think of this as like a little girl's tea party where she has all of her friends.
Yeah, or like a regular house party. Or like a regular house party.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to
tea parties always... Oh, because tea parties are always imaginary friends. I was just like, because our friends come over at tea parties?
No, I was thinking imaginary friends.
Oh. Yeah, I guess. Think of this like a tea party, but you're having to participate even though, you're like an adult.
You can still have a tea party like that as an adult.
I know, it's awesome. I'm very here for it. Yeah. We will definitely 100% have like a princess tea party one day.
Oof, a
Yeah,
very
it's gonna be
soft
so great.
birthday.
Like a very soft birthday sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that board game from the like 90s where you had like Pretty Princess, where you had like the earrings and the
yes, that
necklaces
was
and the bracelets.
Pretty Princess. Yeah.
I love that game so much, dude. We played that all the time as a kid.
Oh, I did not have that game.
Yeah. Rachel had that game and she loved it, and so obviously we all played it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So we're definitely those people, like Rachel and me and Justin and Dad just being like, no, I'm the prettiest princess, fight me.
Yeah,
we're an aggressive family. We're weird. It's fine.
Yeah. Also, like, I definitely could see that, like girl dad energy.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
They had those like clip-on. They were like flat colored pieces of plastic, like clip-on earrings and like necklaces or whatever. Yeah. At a certain threshold, I forget what it was. I think it was like one or two of the necklaces were just like they were designed for very small heads. So it's just a tiara now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a headdress.
Yeah. That's fine. Whatever. But yeah, just I mean, interact with your guests in the same way that you would interact with your guests. I feel like I've said this 100 times on this podcast. Interact with your guests that you invite in spirit realm style in the same way that you would interact with any other guests, because like just calling on them to help you solve a problem or do a thing is sort of that meme where it's like, oh, my friend only gives me a call because they need help moving or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we're in our 30s. I'm not going to help you move your house for pizza and a beer.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to put in work on that, on that friendship.
So, yeah, I mean, treat them like friends because that's what they are.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, the kinder we are to everybody, the better off everybody is. This seems so obvious that I shouldn't have to say this out loud, but oof, boy, vaguely gestures in all directions. Clearly, we need to learn that better.
Yeah, and if it's just you and you don't really know what to do and it feels kind of silly to be like, talking to an empty placeholder, put on like some TV, put on something that you enjoy watching, put on something that your honored guests would enjoy.
Put on something
watching.
that you watched with them. If you're inviting a relative or somebody in that you used to watch Star Trek with, or that you used to do whatever with,
Charlie Brown's
or Charlie
Great
Brown
Pumpkin.
or whatever. Even if it's just like a toast. I mean, like literally almost every time Dad and I have tequila, we toast to
uncle.
Steve.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. You can just sort of involve that in your life. Also, I would say get comfortable with talking to liminal spaces.
Yeah.
The frequency with which I am talking to the trees, squirrels, or some other nonsensical shit like that is pretty high. But almost every time somebody's like, "Hey man, what are you talking to?" and I was like, "That butterfly," and they're like, "Okay, nobody cares."
Yeah.
Be you.
Yeah. I found
Talk
the more
to the
that
butterflies.
I found that the more I talk to things like that, the more those things interact with me. So that's fun.
Oh my god, yeah. I am this close to being able to summon birds. Let me tell you what.
Wild birds.
Every time I go outside,
because we have several birds at home and you can just reach in and grab them.
That's fair. Yeah, those birds are fine. But like we have like finches and such like that, and the blue jay and such, and they just every time I'm outside doing something, they are like real close. The bloody squirrel, not the adult one, not the adult gray, but the like smaller gray. That comes on the tree.
Yeah.
Every time I'll be outside
The
and
young
I scare that thing off every time. Not on purpose, but it's just like way too comfortable for being around me. And then I'll like turn around to like go grab something behind me on the table. And it's just like, it's too close. And I'm just like, well, what were you doing there, man? You're like right next to a tool that I need. You see I'm out here like banging on something or like drilling some shit.
It's blue jays, bees, and butterflies.
Oh yeah, the bees are awesome.
Yeah. In particular, the bees at work have become my friends too.
Yeah.
I'll be outside and there'll be a bee, and I'm just like, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing?
If you're
You
good
don't
with
belong
bees,
here."
bees know that you're good with bees. The other bees tell them. I don't know. Whatever.
That's because bees can sense royalty.
Yeah, bees can sense royalty. Oh man, that's such a
Please comment or send us a message if you recognize that.
Let us know how much you hate that movie, because it should be a bunch.
It's a terrible movie. It's fantastic.
Man,
I love it.
So bad.
So when you are, if you have any other like spells or rituals, go ahead and do that after you've eaten, before you've eaten, however you feel like doing that.
Yeah.
And then when you're done, like ready to go to bed, ready to do cleanup.
Yeah, ready to close the party down. Think of it just like a party, right? You prepare some food, you invite people over, everybody parties, and then at some point in time, everybody goes home, or else that's not a party. That's just roommates.
It's just roommates.
Right?
Or
and
it's a sleepover.
Yeah, or it's a sleepover. That's just a real long party. A sleepover is just an unconscious, real long party.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, night parties?
No, I'm not going to do this. No.
way more terrifying way to describe
I'm not going to do that, no. We're not going to the carnival tonight. So when you're ready to close it out for the evening, say, honored ancestors and spirits, we thank you for joining us. The meal is over. The festivities concluded. You are free to go, but welcome to stay as you wish. And then extinguish your candles, put away your stuff, dispose of any food that's been uneaten in the way that you would normally do that. Yeah. And there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, this does not have to be a ritual just for Samhain. As with many of these 102 rituals, they are sort of all-purposey type rituals.
Yeah, you can put it wherever you need to put it with regard to that. So
if you want to make it a once-a-month thing, go for it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, that's the Samhain ritual.
Yeah. So next up is list reading.
Last but not least, our all-time favorite thing. Hey, look at this list. What's this a list of?
Correspondences.
Correspondences.
So all of these are things that are associated with Samhain. Yeah. So animals, you're looking at your bats and your cats, owls, spiders, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's traditionally associated with Halloween.
Halloween stuff. Also, werewolves aren't animals. Werewolves are people. Hateful. I'm just putting this out there. So you guys can't see the list, obviously, unless you can read our minds through time. But don't do that. You're going to regret that more than we will. Werewolves is on the list under animals, as opposed to miscellaneous. And frankly,
I'm also noticing that there are some other things.
I stand with my werewolf brethren in being recognized as at least 50% human.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm going to move that. Yes. For colors.
Where are those wolves? On the wrong list. That's where.
I can't make any jokes about this.
No.
For fairly obvious reasons. So colors associated with Halloween, like orange and purple and black and gold and green, all the colors of fall.
Yeah.
And spookiness. Stones, amber, amethyst, carnelian, moonstone, obsidian, smoky quartz are all associated with Samhain.
Yeah.
As for plants, belladonna, broom, which is not just the actual physical brooms, but it comes from a plant. We actually have them growing here. They're fairly invasive species.
If you don't know about broom plants, look that shit up. It's kind of awesome. It is. It
is.
Yeah. They're also super pretty.
Yeah, they're very pretty.
They're mad invasive, but they're like super invasive. Pretty. If you're going to plant it, treat it like bamboo, dog. Put that in a pot, in a plastic bag on top of some linoleum or something.
And get rid of all of the saplings that blow out.
Yeah.
The blooms smell fantastic in the spring.
Yeah.
Chrysanthemums are also associated with Samhain. So are foxgloves, clove, marigolds, mugwort, rosemary, yarrow, and yew. As for foods, all of the harvest foods, apples and candy and cider and dark breads, nuts and wine, and mulled wine, pomegranates, do not forget about that, and pumpkin, of course.
Yeah, obviously.
And other seasonal foods for your particular area.
Yeah.
For deities, all of these kind of deities that preside over life and death and rebirth, and also witchcraft. So the Dagda, Hades, Hecate, Hel, Lilith, Loki, the Marigna, Odin, Osiris, Persephone, Pomona, and any other sort of underworld death harvest deity that is not on this list. Because if it was a full list, oh boy, we'd be here for a while. And then other miscellaneous things are like bones and bonfires, brooms that you would ride, cornucopias, costumes, the Fae, ghosts, the Grim Reaper, skulls, masks, all that stuff. Werewolves.
I'm bringing it back up. What's up?
You brought it back. Yeah, you brought it back.
All right, so that is that is a brief version of the list of correspondi. So if you would like the more complete list of that, as well as the Book of Shadows page, I know where we are with the Book of Shadows pages. Don't worry. I'm working on it. I have more other graphic design things to do. If it helps, I just the other day graphic designed a whole Eldritch Horror B. So,
which sounds like it has nothing to do with this, and it doesn't.
It has nothing to do with this. It's for our Etsy shop. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But
we'll probably make it into a sticker. It's pretty great.
It is actually pretty rad. Yeah. It turned out way more awesome than I expected.
It's creepy and unsettling.
Yeah, and a little judgy.
And like kind of cute.
Yeah.
A little kawaii.
A little kawaii. Yeah.
Creepy kawaii.
I'm pre-cute Eldritch horrors.
Yeah, I love creepy and cute.
Yeah. Put a bow on your skeletons, you know?
Exactly. Make them pretty.
Yeah, make them pretty.
So thank you to our patrons. You help us do what we do and better every time. Yeah. And, helping us to get kind of back into the swing of things. So thank you to Alan, Miranda, Helena, and Alexa, as well as anyone who has been a patron before but has no longer been able to do it as a result of finances, the economy, all that stuff. Yeah. We get it.
My laziness. I get it.
Yeah, we get it. Thank you for helping us out.
Honestly, you know what? You support us just by listening. Keep listening and share us with your friends. But yeah, the Book of Shadows pages has the more all the detail stuff. So like that's a thing. Speaking of supporting us by listening, if you are watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like this video, comment below with all the questions that we asked you. Share this video with your friends, make us their problems also. And subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. If you are watching this, oh my gods. If you are listening to this on your podcast network of choice, leave us a review, man. Let us know what's going on. You can also reach out to us. You can hit us up on social media. So our social medias are like linked in the dibbly-doo, but either way, I'm Nerd Jive everywhere, and she's Goddess Jules everywhere.
Yep. You can find direct links on nerdjive.com.
Yep, and you can find all that stuff on nerdjive.com, our website. And you can also, if you want to ask a question and not make it like a social media thing, we have like a form or whatever on the website that you can
email us,
like you can fill out and it just sends me an automatic email. It's like a whatever that's called. So you can always do that there and like reach out to us if you have like a question or like a correction because we did a thing. If you disagree with my opinions about werewolf recognition, then you can send me an email about it and we can become email enemies. What's up, dog?
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'll fight.
Enemies.
Enemies.
And if you are interested in checking out the thing that has sucked up so much of our time this summer, you can check out our Etsy shop there.
Yeah, that's becoming a whole thing. A lot of a thing, but that's fine. We're
It's great because
it's awesome.
Every step we go bigger with the podcast and with our Etsy shop is one step towards both of us being able to make that our full-time gig, which is eventually the plan and helps us to do more of this stuff that
more frequently.
We love and that we hope you love too.
Yeah, definitely. So we're Norgrove Enterprises over on Etsy.
Yeah.
And we do...
You can find the link on nerddrive.com. Yeah. We've got embroidery floss and fat quarters and other tie-dyed items.
Yeah, some art pieces and some
flower crowns
and things like
some
that.
sort of odds and ends.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And we're hoping to add more like sort of witchy accoutrement over the next year or whatever. It's slow going, but I'd rather grow a business slowly and accurately and with like a good vibe than with taking advantage of shit and being an asshole.
Well, also, we're Americans, so we have to make sure that we have, healthcare.
That's its own thing.
That's
its
own
fine.
Thing. Yeah.
So, anywho, the next episode's coming out. So after this, we have a pub chat episode number 11. That number doesn't sound right.
It is a pub chat of undetermined number.
It's a pub chat of undetermined numberage. And yeah, so if you have any questions, submit a question and we'll answer your question in the pub chat, because I don't know if we have a question or not right now.
We do not.
I don't know what's going on.
So if you're listening to this when it comes out or even afterwards, definitely hit us up and let us know what your witchy questions are, because we love hearing from you guys.
Yeah.
And then after that is finally, we're going to do Taseomancy, which is how to read tea leaves.
How to read tassels.
Yeah.
What are those? Tassels on a hat? What is that? A tassel on a curtain? What are those? Tassels on the boobies.
I was waiting for it. I was like, where's the booby tassels coming in?
Yeah.
And then...
Last. Yeah,
obviously. Save the best for last.
Save the best for last.
And then we are approaching our 2-year anniversary, our 2-year podcast anniversary.
Yeah, we're approaching our 2-year podcast anniversary. That will be in December or some nonsense.
Yeah, the beginning of December.
It'll be in the beginning of December.
Date to be determined.
And what we did last year, and we'll do the same thing this year for that, so that's why we're bringing it up now, is that we are going to be doing a live stream.
On YouTube.
Because I don't know how to do Twitch, man. That's a nightmare. So I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so it'll be live stream on YouTube. So, like, as we get closer and figure out the extant details, you can join us there, and we'll have, like, a chat, and we'll, like... It's just going to be, like, us hanging out and, like, having beers and chit-chatting.
Yep.
And just, like, kind of hanging out and having fun with all of y'all.
Yeah.
Which is going to be awesome. The last one was rad.
It was super fun.
Yeah.
Gave us a bunch of ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
And for those of you who may not be able to attend, we will be putting a recording of it up onto the podcast networks, as well as it'll be available on YouTube afterwards.
Yeah. Did we put it up on the podcast networks last time?
Probably.
I don't know. Whatever. We'll do the stuff. Don't worry about it.
Stuff.
Yeah, we'll do the things. Don't worry about the things. But yeah. Either way, I have been John Norgrove. This has been Julia Norgrove. This has been the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast. Yeah, and we will catch you guys on the flip side. Stay magical, folks.
Yeah. And don't forget, breathe in self-confidence and breathe out self-doubt.